we have topical issues that I'll be asking the finest gentleman here today. And like I said again, the questions are quite thought-provoking, very riveting, if you may. And of course, we'll open the floor to entertain questions from the audience. But before then, we'll run through our list of questions, and we hope to be a very important learning curve for everybody. Thank you. So the first on the list is, maybe I'll just talk about the topical issues first. So we have mental health. We have the death of positive role model, or the scarcity or the paucity of positive role model. We also have education and employment. We have stereotyping and limitations, and then finally, dating and relationships. I think the last one has the most questions, about 9. Interestingly so. Right, so we delve into it. That means, of course, I'm saving the best for the last. I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, I assume so. So for mental health, the first question we have is, how can we encourage men to speak openly about their mental health struggles and seek help without fear or stigma or judgment? I'll pose that to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you to the organizers for the opportunity to be here. It's been my experience that men don't talk about issues, even in the consultation room. I'll give you an example. Somebody comes to see the doctor because he has maybe a problem with, performing at home, He comes and he says, "Doctor, I have fever. I have fever." So the doctor says, "Oh, okay. How long have you had this fever?" "The fever is not serious. It's not, but I have headache." "Okay. This headache you have, how bad is this headache?" "It's not serious." "So what brought you to the hospital?" They say, "Oh, well, just fever and headache." Then you spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes talking about fever and headache. Then you say, "Okay, I'll send you to the lab now. Go do some tests. Come back when the result is ready." Then as he gets to the door, he says, "Hey, if somebody cannot perform very well, and you know that was the question that brought him to the hospital." But I realized that the way to get men to speak is to get them to speak amongst other men. When a man comes to see me with his wife, he will not talk honestly in front of his wife. I don't understand why. If you notice, everybody who is here, when they read out their bio, they were all married with kids. I'm not married, so I don't understand why. Maybe the married people will tell me why. But they cannot talk freely in front of their partners. They will wait. They will say, "Shadi, go and be doing the test. I want to ask doctor something." Then when the person goes, then they start to. So I feel that to get men to actually open up about any issues, whether it's mental health, sexual health, whatever it is, you have to create a men-only space where they can now be honest about what is really ailing them.
So in your practice, I mean, this is off the record, but in your practice, what do you think would be the reason to that lends credence to the fact that men don't want to speak openly in mixed spaces?
Oh, because every time they speak honestly, they get castigated for it. When a man tells his wife that he's unable to, perform, she says, "Do you not find me attractive anymore?" Why is that the first thing that has come to her mind? Why can't it be, "Are you stressed? Are you okay? Are you fine? Is there a problem?" But it becomes about her. "Oh, do you not find me?" So many men, and I'm not pretending to speak for all men, but many men are afraid of being castigated when they're honest. Or a man says, "Oh, I'm depressed. I've not been able to get out of bed and work." And someone says, I'm not Yoruba, but I understand some Yoruba, and I work in Ibadan, as you heard. Most of the conversations go on in Yoruba, and you hear the woman say, "Are you not a man?" She'll say it in Yoruba, She'll say, "Are you not a man?" What does that mean? As if he's not supposed to have. So anytime that men come out and honestly speak about what's ailing them, they get castigated for it. So evolutionary, I think we've learned to hide it, to not talk about it, until we're in men's spaces, then we now honestly say, okay, look at what's really ailing me. And even at that, there's a risk that his fellow men will make fun of him.
Right. Mr. Sunday Anani, from a relationship perspective, what is the psychological reason? I mean, it's considering the fact that, off the back of what he has just said about the fact that, they get castigated, they don't want to be vulnerable and XYZ. What is the psychological reason behind that? And how can men or new generation men overcome that going forward?
So thanks for the question, by the way. So I think that the psychological reason behind this is the way the society sees or views the man. The way we see a man as somebody that should be flawless. He should be without faults. He should be able to do everything like he's a perfect human being. And that's not obtainable. We all have, one thing or the other that we are trying to settle, one thing we are working on. So to ride on what he has said, I think that one of the ways men can, aside having just a men only corner or space where they'll be free to open up, men's partner, that is the partner of a man, the wife or the fiancé that he wants to get married to, they have a lot of role to play. And that role has to do with ensuring that the man has the knowledge that whatever you are going through, I'm with you. And that's, I can sum that up in the word support. Men need support because we are not the way the society think we are. The society think we are like robots who is without any defect, and that's not correct. So men need the support of their partners, and even men alike. Like they said, men can criticize men. Even if they don't say it, they can act it. They can look at you in certain ways that will make you know that they are disdaining you because of what you are going through. So we need support. We need encouragement to be able to open up freely so that we can get the kind of solution we need to move forward.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. I'll come to Mr. Ibrahim next. I want to confirm if Mr. George can test his microphone. Audio. Okay, we can't hear you. I can see you speaking, but we can't hear you. So I'll leave the media team to sort that in some minutes. So before I come back to you, I'll ask Mr. Ibrahim. Very impressive CV and resume, I must say. And of course, your thought leadership is not lost on us. I think I'd seen your masterclass creative, some days back, and I thought it was very brilliant. Now, this question is centered around positive role models. We know today social media is awash with people who flood the social space with a lot of negativities in terms of, especially around what it is to be a man. Transactional relationships, sexual prominence, and all of that. So, considering the dearth or the scarcity of positive role models, how can we provide young men, and boys with positive male role models in society who embody healthy masculinity values?
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so I think that primarily there is an eloquent silence. That phrase they use, and the silence is deafening. And who are the people who are silent? We, all of us here. So, and if this silence continues, then evil prevails over good. For example, online you would see some contents. You would just see someone who is and I think there's a misnomer. The definition of an influencer these days is like an influencer is someone who has large following. Like you have so many followers, right. So that person is an influencer.
Right.
So, but I think we need to begin to challenge the narrative and the definitions, because some of those people don't even have content. So they will put out one content here that can shake all your values and ethics. When I say we, I believe that most of us here were vibrating on the same natural frequency. Like most of us, we have maybe similar values and ethics. We would see it. We would say, well, I just don't want to comment. They will start dragging me. So it starts from that silence that we don't vocalize what is good. We don't resist evil. So first of all, I think that we have to start putting it out there, and that's why we're having this program. We're sharing it on our platform. We're telling people this is the right thing. And then also there is this maybe humility, I don't know, to a very large extent that young people, and when I say young, I use the word young very carefully. So young is relative. Young people in secondary school, young people, we are young people. They are young people who really looking forward to what can I become? Who can I be like? But they don't know you. They actually don't know. I was having a conversation with one of our pastors, and I was, that was like some 6 months ago. And he shared some experiences, because he even lectures in Harvard. And then he had got some opportunities with the oil and gas at some point in his life to become, executive director. And I was blown away. And I'm like, sir, we are going to invite you to come and talk to young people. So what I'm saying is, our profiles are not even out there. We are not talking about the good things we are doing. So role models, generally, on one hand, need to, as you achieve, share the success story. Tell the people who want to be like you how to be like you, on one hand. On the other hand I think that we are also seeming to have a generation that, I'm saying this very carefully now, that are mentorless. They want to be independent. They believe they can do it all by themselves. And so I want to encourage young people, myself inclusive. I have people who I model my life after. Look for people who are doing well, in whatever field, whatever you want to become, and learn about them. You don't have to necessarily meet them. My number one role model, I will say here today, is Bishop Oyedepo. Even though I don't attend Winners Chapel, I've listened to a lot of his messages. I've read some of his books, yet I have not met him. So identify role model or models, and then, try to pattern your life.
Thank you very much. Identify role models and try to model your life after them. Now, you have something to say to that, please. Thank you.
Just to add, like he rightly said, people who are doing good, they are loudly silent, and it's not good for us. To just give you a very practical example, I did well when I was in secondary school. It was a government school. I had a very good result, and by God's grace, I got a state award for it here in Lagos. So lately, I thought of how to impart that school, not just that school. So what did I do? I wrote a letter to the Tutor General in, they call it Education District 6. All the schools in Lagos are divided into 6 districts. So in District 6, we have schools in Oshodi, Solo, Ikeja, those 3 local governments. I wrote to them, I said, give me an approval to go to your public schools. Let me go and talk to the students. Let me share my story with them. Let me tell them, I passed through this. I saw drug. I saw, during my days, there was inter-school fights. But in all of these things, I was able to do this, and I came out like this. Such step, we need to initiate those things from ourselves. We can't afford to just sit here and think that these young people will come and look for us. Some of them think that we are not approachable. In fact, let me give you a very practical example. I'll be speaking at a program next week. It's a program organized by Deeper Life Corpus Fellowship. The brother that was talking to me, that sent me the invitation and all of those things, he wanted to ask for my profile. Just my profile that was read out now. He asked the first time because I was busy. I hadn't replied him. And this morning I sent it to him. And he said, this is a copper. He has graduated. And he said, after I sent the profile to him, he said he was scared to ask me. I was like, what are you scared of? Is it to ask me for my own profile? That is to tell you that a person who is already a graduate and maybe at par with me in age still feels a bit distant, from me and talking to me on some levels. Not because I'm very big. Who am I? Now, compare that with the secondary school students who knows close to maybe nothing. They know a lot anyway. They feel that they are so far from us. So we need to also go out. Let's meet them. They're in our streets. They're in the neighborhood. Talk to somebody. So with this opportunity that I have, when I go to those schools, I will be able to talk to them. I may not have a close one-on-one session, but I've dropped something in somebody. And it can go a long way. So these ways, like I said, you don't have to have a personal contact with the person. They can be ruminating over it, thinking over it. And before you know it, you are changing your society. So these are ways we can make ourselves readily available as mentors, role models to the young who are also coming up, while we ourselves are also connecting with those above us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very brilliant. Thank you. Do we have Mr. George on? Yes, okay. I would like to ask you, off the back of the conversation around role models, how do you think a young man, as it were, can successfully swim against the tide? And I will explain that. I mean, if you put out positive content, you speak to people, there's a lot of chaos and negativities out there, right? So what that means is you are like one voice in 1,000. By the way, the 99.99 others are speaking against you. So if there's something trendy and you give a positive feedback to that and say, oh, this should not be this way, chances are that you face some sort of criticisms. So how do you swim against the tide in such a way that you can still continue to make your impact?
All right, thank you very much. First, I'd like to apologize to the entire house. Sorry I couldn't be there. I had some logistical challenges, right? But it's been an interesting session so far. Down to your question, so one of the main ways, right, an individual, a young person who wants to, like I said, swim against the tide, challenge the norm. It's first, I believe this person has got clarity as to what he or she wants for life. All right. Secondly, this person must have built an human shield around themselves, right? Being in a strong community of people who have similar ideologies, right? That's one thing that would be very helpful in swimming against the tide. Thirdly, you must have developed yourself sufficiently, right? The necessary arsenals and victuals that it takes to counter the forces that are coming at you, right? There are lots of vices out there, and it largely has to do with the individual themselves, right? Once you have clarity of purpose, you've built a community amidst yourself, right? Thirdly, you've built necessary capacity. It makes it easier for you to fight against these people. It's tough, very, very tough, because you're literally going against culture, you're going against supposed norms, all right? So it takes lots of weight, grit to truly fight this.
Thank you very much. Very brilliant. Now, to the point of education, and employment, you mentioned something around the young man or the person swimming against the tide have to have empowered himself in such a way that you have built some strong armory around yourself, and all of that speaks to some sense of education. Now, how can we support men and boys from pursuing, support them to pursue non-traditional careers and interests without fear of societal pressure? Now, I'll give a context. So we know everybody wants to pass WAEC and NECO and be a doctor, like he is here, or a business leader, or an accountant, certified accountant, and XYZ. However, some people don't have the means or the wherewithal to. By that, I mean, some people might not get into Unilag or get into the big schools. Some people can, in fact, join vocational trainings. But that is not without societal pressure. For instance, you get introduced and then this person is saying, oh, I'm a product leader, or I'm XYZ, I'm this and that. And this person says, I'm a certified farmer, or sorry, I'm a farmer or a carpenter or something, right? Making a trade or making something good out of it. But when this young man grows up to possibly want to take a wife or something, he is then faced with the possibility of crossing the gatekeeper. In that case, might be a father or a mentor or something. And then when he says, oh, I'm a teacher or I'm a carpenter or something, because these boys matter. It's not all the boys in tech, in product and XYZ that we speak to. All these boys and young men also matter one way or the other. So how do we arm them against societal pressure and have them understand that their sense of belonging also is important in the midst of social pressure? Mr. George.
I mean, all right, thank you very much. Social pressure you can't do without, right? It's there. People will make you want to feel less than yourself because you've chosen a career path. The idea is just be successful at it, right? You can be a rich farmer, you can be wealthy, anything. Have you tried shooting your shot with money in your pockets, right? It's easy. Or taking a penalty with money in your pocket. It's pretty easy, right? So just be successful at what you do, really. It doesn't matter. Everyone just wants successful people. They want to marry successful people. They want to be with successful people. And some of the persons you're seeing seated here will say they are certified, they've probably gotten lots of awards. Some of us didn't literally start this way, right? We literally started building several years ago to this point that we are now, and we're still building, right? So start from where you are, be successful at what you do, and also be pretty visionary, right? It really helps in convincing someone, saying, oh, I'm here right now, but I know where I'm going. And the first thing I said, clarity, right? Once there's clarity, it's easier to pitch yourself, it's easier to sell yourself, all right? And it makes shooting your shots literally easy. And it also helps you fight against the tide, right? That's very important, because society will come at you, friends will come at you, people will come at you, but once you are clear, right? I think that's where it all begins. And the major purpose of this conversation around manhood is taking us to the point of identity, right? Once we have answered the question of identity, right, it makes our journey pretty easier.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you for that brilliant contribution. Now, Doctor, I want you to speak on stereotypes and limitations. And the society that we live in today, we are filled with a lot of stereotypic statements. What boys should do, what boys should not do. For instance, you can hear boys don't wear pink. However, my NC is donning a very great pink attire, and so am I also, right? So that's just one of many, stereotypes. Or boys should not use a Snapchat filter. I mean, just for context. Or boys should not do this, or boys should not do that, or boys should not even cry, right? I know we've spoken about vulnerability. I just want to expand a bit on that. Now, so the question is, how can we challenge gender roles that limit the young man?
So that's a difficult question, really. The idea of gender roles is, in my opinion, it is not cast in stone. It's not you understand. But at the same time, it is the result of thinking that has gone through the ages and has been distilled to us. I am not totally for people to, trash it as it is and say, oh, no, now, I'm going to do like that. I'm not going to do how they're doing. And I'm also not in support of people that want to embrace it without changing it. I'm going to give an example to illustrate that. So I was talking to somebody who lives in the United States, and he mentioned to me that when he moved to the United States and got married there, that nobody had to tell him that in the US, and because of the context of the US, there was nothing like who is going to cook the food, who is going to clean the floor, there is nothing like that. If you say you want to be such a man that you will not enter the kitchen, you will die of hunger, right? Because your wife is making money, she's out making money, and without that money, you won't survive. You need her money to survive. So essentially, I feel like the idea of gender roles, I'm not totally against it, I'm not totally for it. I feel like it can be applied in context. However, I haven't said that and I haven't clarified that. For men, I have seen that gender role now applied negatively to men.
Yeah.
Where it is like, oh, you should not cry. A patient lost his Oh no, he had not lost his wife, but it was evident he was going to lose his wife. She was terribly ill, and we had referred her to a tertiary center, and we told them that your chances are not too good.
Wow.
And he sat there and broke down, and he was crying terribly. And the people came around him and said, "Shebi Okoroniye, you are a man. Why are you crying? Why wouldn't he cry? Maybe this woman is everything he has in this world." Do you understand what I'm saying? So essentially, it has now become a thing where, okay, you can't cry, you can't express emotions, you cannot take care of yourself. If you have a different face cream from a body cream, then you must be, you must not be a man. I don't want to say the other word. You must not be a man. If you wear a good perfume, then you must not be a man. You must smell like armpits. If you're not smelling like armpits, smelling like armpits, then I suspect your masculinity.
Right.
I don't think anyone should allow people to box them into that corner. Don't allow people box into that corner. When women, come with their husbands and there's some bad news, and then the woman is saying, "Oh, are you not a man?" I rebuke them sharply. I say, don't do that. He's a man, but he has emotions.
I must thank you for that.
Yes. Yeah. So also, I feel that in our little corners, just to talk about what he said, that because we are not doing the right thing in our little corners, the people who are doing the wrong things dominates the conversation, So in our little corners, when we have these opportunities to allow somebody be different from us, we should take it. A man wants to cry, let him cry.
Right.
Don't start to say, Shebi be guy, why did you like this now? It's really wrong, and I think we should discourage that.